But you understand, we do have one game left to play. Hey, fantastic. Every single one of you. I mean, I'm not just talking about these last 60 minutes. I'm talking about the quarterback schools, the mini camp, the off-season, the training camp, down in Austin when it was hot and you were tired, the whole bit. Everybody, you did one hell of a job. And the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
Yo, Cowboy fans only. Yo, look, this is for the Cowboy fans. Eighth wonder Jerry's world, yeah, we crowd those stands. Dak, he gon' spin it like a fan. And you know ID coming with it, Coach Quinn got the plan, yeah. This is for the Cowboy fans. Eighth wonder Jerry's world, yeah, we crowd those stands. Dak, he gon' spin it like a fan. Yo. And you know ID coming with it, Coach Quinn got the plan. It's time to eat, off tackle or the sweep. Behind Teron and Collins, ain't no problem feeding Z. And Dak lick his chops when he see D-Lamb D. You know 88 tradition that repeat. Coop route like Irvin, watch for Cedric in the slot. See us try to gallop to the end zone, they can't stop. Dalton up the seam, drawing, carving up your team. Tony Pollard, X Factor, Kellen Moore with the scheme. We applying pressure with Lawrence and Gregory. QB's getting sacked, can't relax, rehab therapy. Micah got a hit list, Jalen Smith hit stick. No escaping, Leighton got him craving with the pick six. Dig that. Kazi go kamikaze, the defense is solid. Find me in Dallas at Jerry's Palace among stars. Screaming Cowboy fans only, yeah. Screaming Cowboy fans only. This is for the Cowboy fans. Eighth wonder Jerry's world, yeah, we crowd those stands. Dak, he gon' spin it like a fan. And you know ID coming with it, Coach Quinn got the plan, yeah. This is for the Cowboy fans. Eighth wonder Jerry's world, yeah, we crowd those stands. Dak, he gon' spin it like a fan. And you know ID coming with it, Coach Quinn got the plan. Shout out J Tuck. Subscribe to his YouTube page, Cowboy Fans Only. CowboysFansOnly.com for all your merchandise. Cowboys stand up.
What's up, CFO gang? It's your boy J Tuck. Real Cowboys fans stand up, and you're now tuning to CFO Sports. So if you are new, do us a huge favor, comment, like, subscribe somewhere down there, and be sure to turn that notification bell to stay updated with all Dallas Cowboys news and content. Salute to everyone in the chat, man. I know it's been a while since your boy has just gone live by my own, man. I've been doing so much, so busy, but it's finally here, y'all. It's finally football season. Our Dallas Cowboys are reporting off to camp, and I couldn't be more happier. So we're going to talk about camp tonight. We're going to talk about Kellen Moore, the offense. I'm going to open up the phone lines. Salute to everyone who watched the live stream last night. Whether you watched it on this channel, on Mark Holmes' channel, Law Nation's channel, wherever you watched it, I want to say thank you, because when I put that entire idea in my head, the vision I had was really about you, the fan base, right? I want to do something special for you guys, you know, and, you know, it's something that's never been done to see us all in the same place. And it was cool because when we spoke about it at the end of the show, a lot of people are tied to each other, and that's how they got their start. You know, like Law Nation was saying how he used to watch Mark Holmes. Voch had his first conversation, his first collab with Mark Holmes. You know, Skywalker Steele was the guy that was constantly messaging me on Twitter for like 2 years to start a channel, so I would not be here if it wasn't for Sky. You know, Rome Cowboys Fan Talk talked about how he watched Voch's videos, so it was really cool to see that the impact of the community, and that's what it's all about. That's what I'm about. That's what I'm always going to be first, is the Dallas Cowboys community. You guys, me too. And I don't want to feel like I'm up here and you guys are down here. I'm a fan just like you guys. I go to games just like you guys. I cry, I fuss, I yell, I scratch just like you guys. And so ultimately, It's us as a cohesive unit coming together, putting all of our thoughts together because we all want to win that 6th championship. So, salute to those guys. As you know, they are very busy gentlemen. It wasn't easy putting it together, but I definitely appreciative of them saying, you know what, Tuck, I got you. Let's do it. And we had a blast last night, and we can't wait till part 2. But let's go ahead and get into it. So last night, we spoke about a few things. That's how much fun we were having. We have so many great minds together. You couldn't just move quickly through topics, right? Because everyone had some great input. But we talked about the offense primarily, and it seemed like, the trend was a lot of people, and not only on the panel but also in the chat, was they do not believe in Kellen Moore. And trust me, I get it. Now, if you watch my show, I was kind of on the fence. I like Kellen Moore. I was a Kellen Moore guy. But what I wonder is, did Kellen Moore hit his ceiling? And I think that's what we saw last year. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people, it's like, fire Kellen Moore. We should get rid of him. We can move on. Well, it's not as easy as you would think, right? Because of this reason right here. Statistically, Kellen Moore has proven himself. Statistically, Kellen Moore, as being offensive coordinator, has proven himself. If you go back to last year, 407 yards a game. They were first in the NFL, 282 passing yards. Second in the NFL, 124 rushing yards. Ninth, 31 points per game. First in the NFL, 99 out of 228 third down conversions, right? So also his red zone efficiency, and that's something going into last season. We were preaching he needs to be more efficient in the red zone. I think the Cowboys around 50% for 2020. Well, they increased that rate last year, right? 63.64% when it comes to red zone scoring. So it looks good. If you look at that, it's like, bro, how can you fire Kellen Moore? How can you move on? If I'm Kellen Moore, I'm just like, you can't move on. Look what I did. But as we all know, those numbers are a bit skewed. And that's the problem with Kellen Moore. And Skywalker spoke about it last night as well. The ability to adjust is what we did not see from Kellen Moore. And Amari Cooper came out and did his interview. He kind of said some things like throughout the season, he was trying to say, hey, what we're doing isn't working versus these type of caliber opponents that we're going to face in the playoffs, which was rightfully so. If you're a longtime subscriber to this channel, first and foremost, thank you, right? But I was saying that even though our offense was putting up those historic numbers, it just didn't feel like we had the number one offense. Comment in the chat, y'all. If you did last year, said my volume slowly, turn my mic up, turn my mic up, turn my mic up. We good. Turn my mic up, turn my mic up. Let's see, we're good. I had to turn my mic down yesterday, so I didn't want to be too loud on the live stream. Can y'all hear me clear? All right, but like, comment below in the chat. When y'all watched our Dallas Cowboys offense post Denver, did y'all feel like we had the best offense in the NFL? I just never felt that way. We got glimpses of it, of course, versus Atlanta. We put up numbers versus Washington and the Giants and also in the Philly game, right? But when we really needed those numbers versus teams like the Cardinals, right, in the playoffs, the numbers wasn't really there. We never saw the efficiency when it comes to our offense. And that is my concern when it comes to Kellen Moore, is what I'm saying from last night, right? When you look at it, what's going to make Kellen Moore adjust? What is going to make Kellen Moore adjust? Because he has ego. We know the guys upstairs, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, they have ego. So they're going to sit back and say our offense was just fine last year. Our offense wasn't an issue last year. When we all know that was not the case. Ever since that, just like Arsenio just said, after that Denver game, I kind of looked at our offense a little funny. It just never felt right. And I feel like one of the best games Kellen Moore actually called as a play caller was the game where Dak Prescott wasn't even playing. The game versus the Minnesota Vikings, I feel like that was one of Kellen Moore's best play calling games, because what did he have, right? he had Cooper Rush as his backup quarterback, right? We know Cooper Rush, we'll talk about him here in a minute. He's very limited, right, when it comes to his skill set. But what did Cooper Rush do? Just get the ball out of his hands and get it to the playmakers. You know what? I don't want you to think too much. Get it to Amari Cooper. Get it to CeeDee Lamb. Get it to Cedric Wilson. Get it to Tony Pollard, right? Run the ball with Zeke, right? Boom, 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 boom. He really designed the offense to be quick, inefficient, and putting the ball in the playmakers' hands. And then when Dak comes back, it's just like, what the hell is really going on? Now, granted, you can say, Amari Cooper had COVID, you know, then CeeDee Lamb had the concussion, then Michael Gallup was out, and there was different things going on. I get that. But even back when we did have that three-headed dragon, Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb, our offense just never felt in sync. It just never felt like we had the number one offense in the NFL, and I can beat my chest saying nobody can stop us. I live here in Kansas City. When they have that number one offense and Eric Bieniemy is out there flying high and Pat Mahomes is throwing across his body and Tyreek Hill was giving them they were beating on their chest because not only did they know they have their number one offense, they felt it. I just never got to that situation where I felt with that offense last year, this was the best offense in the NFL, even though statistically, it said we did. So I think that's the problem with Kellen Moore. Now, I feel like Kellen Moore can drastically improve, but he is going to have to lose the ego. He is going to have to lose the ego, and he's going to be into a situation, especially early, because like we said last night, the reports are saying Michael Gallup could return maybe November-ish, right? We're hearing some say December. I hope not December, y'all. I hope he's back in October, to be honest with you. But if Michael Gallup is not out there, you're going with CeeDee Lamb, you're going with Dalton Schultz, and you're going with a lot of unprovens. You're going to have to be creative, Kellen Moore. You cannot have this systematic mentality. You're going to have to get at least those two involved and then let James Washington, Jalen Tolbert, and who else is those other wide receivers, fully take a step forward. But you cannot come with the same game plan, with the same thought process, and think we're going to come out with just CeeDee Lamb and give him 4 to 5 targets versus Tampa and win that game. I just don't see it happening because I know everyone's thinking, all right, this is what we're going to do, Tuck. Just like my guy West Coast, right? Run the damn ball. Well, if we're saying run the damn ball, you would think that the Tampa Bay Bucks, has some type of NFL knowledge. Like, hey, you know what? I'm going to take the run game away from Dallas, and I'm going to make this rookie guy beat us. I'm going to make this unproven veteran beat us. I'm going to make these undrafted free agents beat us. And then until they do so, then I'll move back. So I feel like we're going to see a lot of stacked boxes when it comes to early in the season. Now, here's when you got to put that on Dak Prescott. And everyone keep the questions coming because, like I know, last night we didn't get to answer y'all questions because everything was moving so fast. So keep the questions coming. I'm going to turn on the call line here in a little bit. You guys can call in as well. But we're definitely going to address your questions tonight. We're going to have fun tonight. But what I'll say is when it comes to, the run game, it's like you have to be creative in the run game. Just like we said, you can't just run Zeke in the A-gap. Boom. 2-yard gain, 3-yard gain, then we're out, third down. You know what I'm saying? So, you have to be creative. Run counters, run sweeps, jet sweeps, get Tony Pollard involved. Use Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott at the same damn time. I don't know how many videos, y'all, I done made about using Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott at the same time. But it's time for Kellen Moore to elevate. He's been a good offensive coordinator for quite some time. He needs to take that leap. But here's the problem with it. Who is going to tell him that he's wrong? That's the problem. We all have friends. We all have children and everything. Sometimes when people don't tell you you're messing up and hold you accountable, there's nothing that can keep you pushing forward. Now, maybe, like my guy Rome said last night, right? Maybe it was, something going on with he didn't get those head coaching jobs. So maybe that's going to be a reason why he's going to continue to push and maybe excel. But it seems like last year he got very comfortable, he got figured out, and things really never got moving forward post that Denver game. So we'll see when it comes to Kellen Moore, y'all, but he has to improve. I feel like he is critical for this offense even more than he was the past 2 years, right? Because the past few years, we had enough talent that can just overcome a lot of things. They can kind of, be the filter, be the makeup to overcome what Kellen Moore was doing. This year, we don't have that talent pool. So Kellen Moore is really going to have to show his worth when it comes to the offense, man. Guys, go ahead, hit the questions in the chat. I'm going to answer your questions. We got the call line up. Feel free to call in. We got a caller in. Let's see who we got here. Let's see. Let me get you right here. Hey, caller, state your name. Where you from?
Darren Smith, Kansas City, Missouri.
It's my guy Darren Smith from Kansas City. So here's the thing, y'all. So y'all know I do the weekend show every Sunday, 8:10 WHB, ESPN Kansas City, with my guy Darren Smith on the ship. Definitely check that out. But he was wanting to chime in last night with a bunch of questions. So I was like, yo, Darren, go ahead and get your Cowboys questions out the way. Give me a call right now, and we can go ahead and get it. So what's going on, my guy? What questions you got?
Not much, man. First of all, man, great job on last night, man. I got a chance to tune in a little bit. I wasn't going to call in, but I just wanted you, let you shine the own thing and, not bombard you all. But, just a few questions for you. When you look at this team and obviously the expectations, there are some realistic expectations and expectations on what you all, what the Cowboys feel like they should be doing going into the season. I guess the first question is, what is the biggest expectation that this team is looking to improve upon based off of last year's results, based off of last year how they ended against San Francisco, and then, of course, with the off-season moves that they made? What is the true expectation of this Dallas Cowboys team?
Yeah, I think when it comes to the expectations, how this offense is currently constructed, I think that they're going to get back to being more physical. Drafting Tyler Smith at the left guard position, kind of your tackle position. In the first round of the draft, he kind of gives you that big physical, interior presence that we lacked last year with Connor Williams and also Connor McGovern. So it looks like they want to get back to basics with the run game. And then when you look at the wide receivers, even though we really don't have the sharp, route runner aspect of Amari Cooper, right? Jalen Tolbert is a physical target. James Washington's a physical deep threat. You add in Noah Brown, Simi Fioco, some of the other guys out there. It seems like the Cowboys want to get more balanced and be more physical with their approach, because what really happened versus San Francisco, Darren, we got punched in the mouth. We got punched in the mouth on both sides of the ball, and eventually we adapted. But by the time that we adapted, it was too late. But if you look at the key areas where the Cowboys really lost that game in the playoffs, it was in the trenches. It was offensively. Our offensive line got whooped across the board, and their offensive line whooped our defensive line across the board. So I think that the Cowboys' mentality is to be more physical and be more dominant in the trenches, which kind of shows how they maneuvered this offseason.
One of the things, though, when you talk about, especially in the trenches on the offensive line, you've been, riddled with injuries, or the Cowboys have been riddled with injuries, and obviously, you bring back Tyron Smith, you bring back Zach Martin. But Tyron Smith has been in and out of his lineup, especially on the offensive line, over the last couple of seasons. Based on that, and with Tony Romo talking, and I know we talked a little bit about it on our show yesterday. Tony Romo talking about how he thinks that this offense is going to go back 2016, where they relied on the run to set up the offense. Do you foresee that happening? And then, if that's the case, how much can we truly expect from Ezekiel Elliott as the main running back on this offense?
Yeah, I think that's going to have to be the case. To be honest with you, Darren, if we come out opening night versus Tampa and Dak's dropping back, throwing 40-plus times, I would be shocked. I would be like, hey, I don't understand what's going on. I'll be shocked. So maybe they had something that we didn't know. But I think you're going to see an uptick when it comes to the workload, but not only Ezekiel Elliott, but also with Tony Pollard. I saw someone, kind of ask in the chat, how many touches per game do you think Tony Pollard is going to get this year? I think he needs 15 to 16. Now, it doesn't have to be carries, right? Because Tony Pollard is a hybrid. He can play wide receiver. He can run jet sweeps. He can do a little bit of everything, right? So I think you can be more creative, and that's going back to what I was saying earlier about Kellen Moore. But you got to find ways just to get the ball in Tony Pollard's hands, and he just failed to do that last year. When it comes to Ezekiel Elliott, I felt like he had one of his best seasons last year, but a lot of people will disagree. Now, you got to understand, Zeke got out to a great start, and then he had the injury with the PCL, so he was pretty much one-legged out there, but we needed Zeke out there for one key reason, Darren. We need him in pass protection, because you can't put Tony Pollard back there and let him take punishment with those linebackers and defensive ends, right? So you have to have Ezekiel Elliott, and that's a key aspect of what he brings to his offense. Now, first question you asked about the offensive line, that is one of my biggest concerns. You mentioned Tyron Smith, who was getting older, and at this point of his career, we can pretty much say, you know what, we can chalk off 4 to 5 games he's going to miss with something. I mean, he was already kind of had some issues with the back in OTAs, right? And that's my biggest concern that we talked about last night that the Cowboys did not address by getting a veteran swing tackle. So if something was to happen right now, Tyron Smith has to miss versus Tampa, you might have to go with the Josh Ball, who was a draft pick from last year, who's kind of unproven. Matt Waletzko, rookie from this year, is unproven. With the rookie and Tyler Smith playing a brand new position, you have Tyler Biotis, who's kind of, so it really changed the dynamic of our offensive line if something was to happen to Tyron Smith. So we've been banging the table all the
time. Well, let me jump in real quick because we've seen, history has shown, especially the last 2 seasons, when Tyron Smith isn't there, that has an adverse effect on how Dak Prescott plays that quarterback position. I mean, obviously, it's his blind side and stuff like that, but he's, but when he's, when he's not on that left side, Dak, Dak's a little bit more rush when it comes to his passing, when it comes to trying to make his reads or whatever. And so, I mean, do you fault the coaching staff? Do you fault Jerry and Steven for not, as you said, getting a swing tackle in the offseason or even drafting a potential replacement for Tyron or what?
Yeah, so I would put it more on the front office. Now, I do think Tyler Smith is the replacement for Tyron Smith. I think he's just playing guard right now as a holding place. And we kind of spoke about that last night. You might see in 2 years from now that Tyler Smith is going to be our offensive tackle, and they might plug in a new guard. But, yeah, I agree. They haven't really got a quality left tackle in-house as an insurance policy for Tyron Smith. So last year when he went down, what did they do? They moved Terrence Steele, who was our right tackle, really doesn't have much experience at left tackle. They swung him over there. He did okay. He did enough, but it wasn't what we really needed, especially in those moments. But it's kind of like musical chairs. It's like, hey, you play right tackle, let me just swing you over there. We really just never had that quote-unquote guy. They brought in like a Ty Nsekhe before, Cam Irving, and like they kind of just tossed in a few guys who really just hasn't been quality. But we really just need that one guy, that old reliable left tackle who can swing out there in case of emergency when it comes to Tyron Smith. So I really put it on the front office because naturally, like you said, Dak's clock is going to be sped up when you're getting blitzed off your blind side. Any quarterbacks will.
Look, you have to ask the chat to forget because I'm gonna bring up Chiefs stuff, but of course that's our conversation that we have on the show is Cowboys Chiefs. But but no, in all seriousness, when you look at it, there are some similarities with the Cowboys and their offensive questions that that we kind of bring up with Kansas City, i.e., last year we were always trying to figure out who's going to be that number 2 receiver with Sammy Watkins being gone. Now we're of course, one who's going to be number 1, number 2, number 3, or whatever. When you look at your depth chart, and when you look at obviously you got CeeDee Lamb, he's obviously going to be the number 1 receiver. But Michael Gallup, he's coming off an injury. They gave him a contract. Jalen Tolbert. I mean, really, if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan and you're looking at this offense, now you know that essentially I've always felt that you need to, establish the run to set up, to set up the pass because to me. Dak Prescott throwing 45, 50 times means that you're trailing instead of leading. And so I saw somebody in the chat say, they want to throw 35, 36 passes. I like between 25 and 30 because that way, you got a nice lead because you put the ball in Zeke's belly and he's gotten some ground control. And on top of that, you're probably the lead, so you don't have to rely on Dak throwing too much. But going back to your wide receivers. When you got Lamb, Gallup, and Tolbert, I mean, it's not really, names that stand out outside of CeeDee. What are your expectations with this, with this wide receiving core? And really, outside of CeeDee, probably put up 1,000 yards. What do you see Gallup and Tolbert at, in these stats coming up?
Yeah, and I think that Jalen Tolbert has immense pressure on him, and I feel kind of bad for the kid because I was a huge Jalen Tolbert, fan. I kind of put myself as the guy who found him for Cowboys Nation, but it's a lot of pressure to place on a third-round pick. Like, Jalen Tolbert has to be ready day one because of the situation that we put him in. Like, it'd have been a little bit different if we did have kept Amari Cooper and you can slow play Jalen Tolbert in to be that third guy. But with Gallup being out and probably out to mid-November, he's going to have to learn and grow quickly. Now, do I think he can? Absolutely, but there's going to be some bumps in the road just adjusting to the NFL level and that level of competition because he didn't play in the SEC or, the ACC. He's coming out of a small school. So I feel like Jalen Tolbert can really adjust, but then you have to think about James Washington. James Washington was a guy who was kind of proven when he was at Oklahoma State, went to Pittsburgh, kind of had a splash in 2019, and then really kind of just faded. And so what do we know you're going to get with James Washington? You don't know. So there's a lot of improvements when it comes to the wide receiver core outside of CeeDee Lamb. So I think we're, as far as the wide receiver goes in the passing game, is going to really rely is CeeDee Lamb, but it's going to be on Dalton Schultz, who's been franchise tagged, right? So, I think they're going to lean heavily on the tight end position with Dalton Schultz kind of being that safety blanket for Dak, but it's all going to come back to Kellen Moore to be creative and use the pieces that he has.
I was just gonna follow up on that because I know how we talked about in Kansas City about the pressure between Patrick, Andy, and Eric Bieniemy. How much pressure is on Kellen Moore? Because obviously, people think of him as the boy wonder, but outside of Dak obviously throwing for a lot of yards and a lot of it, whether people agree with it or not, come in garbage time. Mm-hmm. How much pressure is under Kellen Moore to really make this offense, live up to Cowboy expectations? Because obviously they're considered America's team. They're going to have a lot of late afternoon and primetime games, and like Kansas City, you want to put your best offensive weaponry forward. And mm-hmm. So how much pressure is going to be on him this year? I know we talk about Mike McCarthy and what he's under, but kind of like Eric Bieniemy, it's funny, if the Cowboys offense does well, then Kellen Moore is the one that's going to get the credit. Exactly. And if it doesn't do well, he might get some blame, but obviously it's going to be more so on Mike McCarthy. So, what should Cowboy fans expect between, the pressure that's going to be under Dak Prescott, Kellen Moore, and Mike McCarthy? Again, kind of the same way as we look at in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes and his new offensive weapon.
Yeah, I think there's zero pressure on Kellen Moore, unfortunately, because he's been anointed the golden boy by the front office, right? Think about this, Darren. When Mike McCarthy came in, they got rid of the entire staff, but told Mike McCarthy specifically, you can't touch this guy. And so this guy, he's going to stay and he's going to be the play caller. Now, you kind of know Mike McCarthy's pedigree, what he's known for. He's an offensive guy, quarterback guy. But for the owner and quote unquote the GM to tell you, you can't touch this guy and he's going to call plays, like Mike McCarthy's hands are tied behind his back because all the blame is going to be on Mike McCarthy, and Kellen Moore is really not going to take the fault because, like I'm showing right now in the slide, they're going to be able to sit back and say, well, Kellen Moore in 2021 had the best offense in the NFL. Look at the numbers. Look what he did. So I'm fully capable. I fully trust Kellen Moore. So nobody is really holding Kellen Moore accountable. We just got to hope that Kellen Moore holds himself accountable because he tried to get all those head coaching jobs and didn't get one. But as far as the front office and the expectations coming in-house, I would say zero. Now, the fan base might raise up and get a little bit loud, but I highly think that you're going to see any changes happen with Kellen Moore. You'll see a change happen with Mike McCarthy before I think Kellen Moore.
Obviously, when you look at the Dallas Cowboys on the defense side of football, Micah Parsons is a man among boys. He and Trevon Diggs, I'll set them to the side. You need to convince me the rest of the defense, including DeMarcus Lawrence, who really didn't do much last year, besides eating sunflower seeds. I think it was during Hard Knocks with him. But look, he only had 3 sacks last season. Now, I want people to know I am a Dallas Cowboys fan. I did, they were one of my favorite teams growing up. I grew up during the during the '90s period, so I got to see all the greatness. And I've lived through all the 8 and 8s and everything else ever since '95. So it's killing me because I think Jordan. I think there was one year that I think it was 2016. 2017, I thought there would be a Cowboys-Chiefs Super Bowl. I just thought that, the these teams were going to meet up. So that being the case on the defensive side of football, I mean, what can we expect? Leighton Vander Esch, I know he kind of had a revival last season, playing alongside Michael Parsons, but like I said, DeMarcus Lawrence had a down year. What can we expect? I mean, look, I've been waiting to see Jabril Cox. Hopefully he's going to come off the, hopefully he'll be healthy this year, to play for you all. But what can I expect when I'm tuning into these Cowboys on the defensive side of football?
Yeah, I think when the defensive side of the football, I think they're going to get better. I think, like I said earlier, I think they got better in the trenches, right? They got a few guys that's going to be able to help, in the interior. They got bigger, stronger. Having Neville Gallimore back for a full season is definitely going to help this year, who was out injured last year. You toss in Osa Odighizuwa, who had an incredible rookie campaign. If it wasn't for, being under the shadow of what Micah Parsons did, I think that, a lot of people would have noticed the impact that Osa had last year as well. So I think our defensive line is going to be a lot solid. Now, the huge question mark is going to be replacing Randy Gregory. Now, when you look at Randy Gregory, a lot of people just look at the sack numbers and think that's just a simple replacement. But when you look at what he really brought, I mean, he had a high motor. Now, we did draft Sam Williams, who I believe under Dan Quinn's, teachings, he is going to be able to be instant impact. He's not going to be Micah, even though he looks like Micah, right? I feel like he's going to have an impact, but I think you're going to have more defensive end by committee until someone really grabs that position by the reins. So you might see, Basham, or you might see Dorrance Armstrong from the University of Kansas down here, who just re-signed. So you might see kind of a committee in a rotation initially, and I think eventually someone will break through. Also, Dante Fowler, one of the free agents that we brought in as well. So we got a lot of guys in rotation, defensive line, but yeah, my biggest concern is the linebacker room. I feel like, Jabril Cox is still coming off of ACL, still kind of unproven, even though we got a small glimpse of him in that Giants game, right? He has a lot of work to do, but if he's healthy, right, he gives us instant speed and impact. LVE had his first full healthy season last year, but if something happens with him, then you have to reach a little bit. You might have to go into the Luke Giffords, or maybe, the Devin Harpers, or some of these kind of unproven guys, or maybe this conversation is about bringing in Anthony Barr, whatever that price is, right? But I feel like if LVE was to happen to him, it's a huge void when it comes to our linebacker core, because you really don't want Micah Parsons playing your middle linebacker, right? You want Micah Parsons kind of floating around, doing different things and coming off different edges, blitzing off A gap, B gaps, and also outside, and let LVE kind of be your quarterback, right? That's what he does best. So it's going to be interesting to see the Dallas Cowboys add linebacker depth. I think that they will, because they are one injury away from it really looking bad. so that's my thoughts when it comes to the linebacker room.
Look, though, Dan Quinn. Yeah, like so, we have this conversation where they talk about how Steve Spagnuolo's defense is complicated, with dealing with Kansas City, and so I guess I would ask you, because I know you're more familiar with their defense and Dan Quinn's play calling, but how is his style of defense, is it complex? I mean, obviously they allow Micah to just roam the field, do whatever, and look, a lot of times people that skip Bayless always feel like Micah Parsons, should be that Von Miller, just someone that's rushing the quarterback all the time, instead of trying to play out in coverage from time to time, or even trying to stop the run. Is his style of defense too complicated to where to where you can't? It's hard to plug and play someone in, or what's the learning curve? I
think what Dan Quinn did a great job at last year, right, it was plugging players in and simplifying the defense and letting players do what they do best, right? He didn't want to overcomplicate things for Micah Parsons, right? Just go get the quarterback, use your athleticism.
But quickly, but like Trevon Diggs, I know he led the league in interceptions, but he gave up over 1,000 receiving yards as well. So that's what I'm trying to understand. Like, Trevon took a lot of chances, and he got a lot of interceptions, led the league in interceptions, but he also gave up a ton of yardages as well.
Well, that narrative is kind of false, though, Darren, and I have a whole video breaking that down, right? Because think about it. Think about how many games the Cowboys were in blowout margins, right? Going back to the whole offense. So there's a lot of soft coverage out there that Trayvon Diggs was giving yards on. Plus, some of the yards that he was actually accounted for was not really in his territory. So if he's running cover 3 and he's playing the top thirds and someone runs a drag route just from his side, like happened in the Carolina game where DJ Moore broke for that touchdown, well, technically, they put those yardages on Diggs, right? So it's like you got to really look at the man-to-man coverage, press coverage, like where was Diggs really giving up those yards, and was he giving up yards in situations that was costly? That wasn't the case. And so what Dan Quinn wants to do, right? Because Dan Quinn notices the same thing that Nick Saban noticed. Trayvon Diggs was a wide receiver converted to a corner at Alabama. He has hands. He has great ball tracing ability. He can track the ball, right? Because Trayvon Diggs was getting interceptions the year before his rookie season, right? It just wasn't as quick as this, right? So he was able to get those turnovers, and that was one of the most important things that the defense preached last year was the turnover margin, right? Turnover margin. So when they drafted a Nashawn Wright, they drafted Kelvin Joseph, they wanted players that can get the ball back because in 2020 under Mike Nolan, we didn't do that, right? So one of the winning formulas in the NFL is turnover margin, which the Dallas Cowboys excelled at last year, and they were more contenders than they was the previous season. So that's how he is coached on that side of the ball. I have no concerns with the yardage that, quote-unquote, Trayvon Diggs gives up. But, hey, Darren, I got more calls coming. I appreciate my guy, but go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you.
Well, one last question before we go. Just as it relates to your special teams, you got CeeDee Lamb. Now he's the number one wide receiver.
Get him off punt return. He better not. He better not return, not nan punt.
That's what I.
Yeah.
When Tyree became the wide receiver, he took that away from him. So that's what I wanted.
I want to see. I've been wanting to see off punt returns even when he was a rookie, man. So.
But they can look, man. Everybody can tune in to myself, Tuck, and Michael Coleman, the Ship with Darren Smith on Fox Sports Radio Saturday mornings from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Along with 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Sunday nights on KLKCRadio.com, along with the Ship with Darren Smith on Sports Radio 810 Sunday mornings from 10 a.m. to 12 noon on 810WHB.com.
Appreciate it, my guy. All right, man. I'll holler at you later, man.
Talk to you soon. Thank you, brother.
All right, bro. All right, so let's go ahead and get to some of these chat questions, man. Keep them coming, keep them burning. Like I said, we're just going to have some fun tonight. I appreciate everyone who watched the show last night, man. We had a blast, man. I see my guy, Rome, Cowboys fan talk in the building. He was in the building last night, man. I had my guy, Skywalker Steele, West Coast, Voch Lombardi, Boss Cowboy, Law Nation, Mark Holmes, BJ, Knicks, Big Game James. We had a blast. So if you missed that show, definitely go check it out because so much knowledge was shared to our round table. We only got through the offense. We didn't get through the defense, but we got a lot more to do. Like we said, that was just Infinity War last night. We got to do the end game again sometime soon once our schedules sync up as we get to camp, but we definitely enjoyed it, had a blast, and I hope you guys did too. So let's see here. I got some questions coming in. Let's see here. I know my guy Doug has been asking some questions. He said, what's going on? Let's see here. All right, I'm going to go back up to the top. All right, so my guy Craig said, what's going on, Tuck? We need a veteran wide receiver. We were far from the best offense. Yeah, I agree. We were far from the best offense last year. I just never had that feeling that we was the best offense in the NFL. On paper, it felt like it, right? So we can flex a little bit and pull up PFF and show how efficient we was, but it just never looked right. I remember clearly when I dropped the video, and it was after that Washington game, right? The first close Washington game. I was like, this ain't it, man. This just ain't it. Like, we should have just blew Washington out, but we kind of let them hang around. There was different lapses where Dak and CD wasn't in the same thought process. I'm like, this is not how we should be looking at this juncture of the season, and I just never felt good about it. But it's like, you know what? It was playoffs. It was versus the 49ers. You just thought that maybe something sparked in that last dress rehearsal versus the Eagles, and unfortunately it didn't. And let's see here. My guy Doug says, is Julio Jones worth signing? Nah, I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think right now Julio Jones would just be a name that would kind of give us some, like, all right, it's Julio Jones, right? But I just don't think at this point he gives our offense much. Now, can he hold things afloat until Michael Gallup returns? I think so, but y'all know I'm very high on Jalen Tolbert, right? But like I said, it's just like the way our schedule is structured, we can't afford for him to kind of have a slow growth process. He has to be ready. Now, I think there's a high chance Jalen Tolbert will be day one ready. Since the moment he was drafted, he linked up with Dak Prescott. They've been in sync, so maybe there's something already there. Maybe he's been working with Dak in the backyard, kind of doing those type of things, right, already in sync. But here's the situation. We talked about it briefly last night, y'all. You get reps at camp, right? Dak's going to be out there in Oxnard, right? He's going to have his number one offense. You're going to get those reps. You might get some reps versus the scrimmage versus the Chargers, and also I think we're scrimmaging the Broncos, right? So that might be some live action reps. But if, let's say, Dak does not play in the preseason, right? That means Jalen Tolbert's going out there with, Will Grier, with Cooper Rush, with Ben DiNucci. Like, it's a completely different situation than playing with your quarterback. So I think Dak and this wide receiver core needs as much live action reps as possible. Now, you don't want them playing the entire preseason, right? Because if Dak goes down, it's mock draft season, y'all. So it's just like, but I think that you need to see this offense kind of in sync initially. Maybe it's a series, maybe it's 2 series to kind of get themselves revved up. But we'll see how things go from there. Let's see here. See, my guy Big Sarge says, fun fact, the Dallas Cowboys have won Super Bowls with 4 FAMU football players on this team. Bob Hayes, Nate Newton. Will Marquise Bell be next? Man, I hope so, man. Like, we know Marquise Bell is my guy. Like, I watched him here when he was in Coffeyville, and I kind of heard things about him, checked out his film earlier in the draft process. And, we were doing all those late night drafts, and people were like, Marquise Bell, like, who the hell is this? You know what I'm saying? And so Marquise Bell, I'm on the fan train when it comes to Marquise Bell, and I got big expectations for him. I'm glad that we got him. Got a caller. Let's go ahead. Let's see here. Hey, caller, state your name. Where you from? What's up, caller? Can you hear us?
Hey, Bert. Yeah. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on, bro?
Nothing much. Hey, quick question.
Yeah.
You said about not signing Julio, or why would you not do that? Is it progress stopping or what?
Yeah, I just think right now, like I said, I would sign Julio to kind of be the bridge guy. It really just depends on, I got to know how long Michael Gallup's actually going to be out, right? If you were to tell me Michael Gallup's not coming out to December, then I would strongly consider signing Julio Jones, right? But it's like, all right, let's say, for instance, Michael Gallup's coming back in October, you sign Julio. Then are you going to have him kind of being the buffer guy that's going to stop the growth of Jalen Tolbert? You don't want that to happen, right? So it all depends on where Michael Gallup is. And I just feel like right now in Julio's career, like, he's injured just as much as well. And so I know it's just a name to kind of get us comfortable, but I think that it just doesn't give us much of a boost, to be honest with you.
So what I look at is we are always looking to the future. You stay in Kansas City, the Chiefs did lose a powerful weapon.
Right.
But they tried to come back in and offset that with MBS, Juju, and Scott Moore. Mm-hmm. We lost a guy, and we basically went to the draft and then went to bottom, free agency to try to,
right.
Make up for that. But my thing is, when are we going to go all the way in? And that's what the problem is. I think when you have a team like we had last year, mm-hmm. I think you add on to that team. You don't take away from it. And
right.
Also, too, when we talk about progress stoppers, I think what we look at is a growing team. Not a team that's there. We were 12-5 last year.
Right.
I think what you do is you add on top of that, and then you go for it, because we haven't went for it in a while. And so when you say Julio, or I would like Will Fuller, to be honest with you, just somebody to stretch the field a little bit.
Right.
But when you talk about those guys that being a progress stopper, we're talking about Jalen. Stir around wide receiver, man.
Right.
I mean, we're putting a whole bunch on that guy.
Right. And trust me, Bert, if anyone understands your frustration, it's me, right? And that's why I kind of been and on this offseason, because I felt like from the season that we had last year, being 12-5, I really felt like even though we lost that playoff game, we had a good team last year. And I felt something different with that team last year. I thought the Cowboys would want to build off of that. You know, I felt like just having that firepower of Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Gallup was something you can lean on. And think about this, where we could be right now if you did sign Michael Gallup, but you know he's not coming back until December, right? But you still have Amari and CeeDee, then you can slow play Jalen Tolbert and let him fully grow. But as of right now, I just feel like the Cowboys did not build. They kind of took a step back, and it's really going to be ultimately on Dak, the offense, and Kellen Moore to keep things back in track. But I just feel like Julio Jones, if you said the Cowboys signed Julio Jones today, and I'm a 7 on the season, I'm still at a 7. It doesn't boost anything for me. That's just me personally. You know, not Julio.
Well, what it does for me is that I think what you're doing is you're going to a perfect scenario for wide receivers. Like, you can't have anything go wrong.
Right.
Like,
right.
Gallup has to come back on this date. You can't have any injuries. You can't have anything. And because you're so thin there. But I think if you have a Julio who's played the game before, played this game, Will Fuller, who's played this game before, has success on this level,
right,
then you have more of a barrier. You have more depth there. Right now, to me, the Jalen talk, hey, I hope he becomes everything everybody wants him to be. But to expect him to come out and tear up the NFL, the guy he'd have been drafted higher than that if that expectations. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
exactly, yeah.
Look, KC drafted Sky Moore higher. You know what I'm saying? And you start looking at the Rams, the Super Bowl champions. Whenever they had a better offseason than the Cowboys, that tells you a lot. And it's just, you know, I just really think that we should have been. I think the front office owes it to the fans to say, hey, we're going to go for this thing. And I'll go back to it. If you ever, I don't know, you know, I talked to Sky and Boss Cowboy mostly. It's my first time calling in your show.
I appreciate you.
And I think what it is that, and I do, that roundtable y'all had the other day was, you know, off the chain, to be honest with you. It was outstanding. So I just want to tell you that. But I do think that the problem, I think that if you ever hear me, and it's always going to be this, the underlying problem is the Joneses have no urgency to do anything because they're not getting fired.
Right, exactly.
You know, no matter what. So they're just running this thing. They're thinking about how they're going to sign Micah. Any kind of GM shouldn't be thinking that far in the future. So a lot of GMs and front office personnel have to win now, you know, to keep their jobs. And the Rams have to win now. So they're trying to put it all in. And the urgency to the Cowboys, only people that's urgent in Cowboy land is the fans.
Right.
You know, the front office isn't. Steven has a long-term plan, and Jerry has a long-term plan. But the problem is that we never. The plan isn't when you have to go for it. These other teams have to go for it at some point in time. We don't go for it because this would be the year, man. This would be the year to say, hey, man, we came up short. What did we have to add to this team to get over the hump? And we had to. And I always forget the guy from Seattle, the linebacker that went to the Rams.
Bobby Wagner.
I always forget his name.
Bobby Wagner.
I thought that'd be. I thought he'd have been great to mentor Parsons. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And a good player. I thought that'd have been great. I think we need a better presence on this team. Yeah, and then that's what Julio could come in and do, man. Yeah. I mean, CeeDee was still learning under Coop, man. You could see it in on some of the. I think we were on that show, that HBO show. You could see him learning, teaching him stuff. He's still learning in his league. He could still learn under Julio Jones. Yeah. And you know, I just think. Man, they owe it to us to go for this thing some point in time. But I think we got these people in place, man, that have no urgency because why? Hey, I'm going to be here no matter if we go 0-17 or 13-4, man. Yeah. So I'm going to be here. It makes no difference. And so back to the offensive coordinator. Look, the guy may be good one day. He just got the job too fast. Right now he's just a play caller. He just grabs in the bag and reaches out and get a play. He doesn't scheme right now. And so what happened was last year, it was like, hey, you put 8 in the box, we're going to throw. You put 7 in the box, we're going to run. Hey, teams showed him 8 and then dropped 7 at the snap, threw them all off. And he had no counterpunch to that. Right. And so after the Denver game, man, we struggled mightily. And I think it was on 2 things. It was play calling and Dak. Because they were confusing Dak at the line of scrimmage. They would bring guys up, and he'd call the play, and then they'll drop a guy off, and plays already called. And so the thing is, they have to get that thing straight, man. For us to, because man, 6 games after the New England game, I just thought, man, we this is the team to do it.
Yeah,
I thought there was a team to go, all the way, man. But after that, Denver started the downfall of this team, man. But
Denver
hey, I was just calling.
Denver broke something, man. Denver broke something in us last year.
Yeah, they did, but I think we were fragile a whole year. I don't, I still think that, and people can take this like they want. I think we lack leadership. I think we lacked veteran leadership last year. I think one of the things that was really telling was that when Mike McCarthy said before the playoff game that he sensed some nervousness, and that really, that was something that I didn't want to hear.
Right.
Nervousness going to the game, and when you see San Francisco come out, Debo with the box. They ain't nervous. And they didn't play like it either. We played like we were nervous, and we played like we didn't have an answer. And I think part of it was Dak didn't really feel comfortable that Kellen could get this thing straight. You know what I'm saying? When you go out with a great game plan, and hey, we got something for y'all. It gives you a little bit of confidence. But we had nothing. He was just going to go to the game and play the same way. Oh, I had one thing to tell you before I left, man. You look at, so you remember the KC game against Buffalo when they had to come back, right? In the playoffs. Yeah. They threw the ball, I think, to the tight end, Kelsey, and then they threw it to Hill to get to kick the field goal, correct?
Yep, exactly. Yep.
And then in the Rams game, they went to Cooper Kupp, right? At the end when they had to see what I'm trying to say is these guys didn't go with hey, we're just gonna drop back and throw. No, they said no, I'm going to my guys. I'm going to the Pro Bowlers and All Pros.
Yeah, because Pat Mahomes even mentioned that because that play call wasn't to go to Travis Kelce, and Travis Kelce told him, I don't give a damn if I'm covered. Come to me, I got it, and that's what he went to. And that's the type. And Amari Cooper, when he had his interview, he kind of said that, what you're talking about, Bird, is like throughout the season, he kept saying, like, hey, the teams that are high caliber that we're going to be playing in the playoffs, like, this isn't going to work. We need to, get me the ball. Ultimately, the Cowboys don't like that. For some reason, they like everyone kind of shush, do your job, be more corporate, don't call out the offensive coordinators, and just kind of deal with it. But it's frustrating on the players and saying, you know what? I'm not trying to say I want more money or do all this. I'm saying I want to do more to help my team win. But for some reason, you get looked at as a bad guy in Dallas, and then you're traded to Cleveland for a 5th-round pick.
Yeah, and where you start looking at the contracts that other wide receivers got in the offseason, it started not making even more sense because you're saying, wait a minute, we got a 5th, and guys are getting $26 million,
right?
And we couldn't pay him 20. And so it was. Yeah, it was. I think really with Coop, they soured on him early in the year, and I think it was a concerted effort not to go to him anymore because I think what it was is the Joneses wanted to sell the fact that he's overpaid, and they didn't want to because if he had think about this, if he had 2020 numbers, 93 catches for close to 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns. It'd been very hard to release him, to trade him for a 5th-rounder. So I think at some point in time, they say, hey, man, we're not throwing the ball to him out because we let him go anyway.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And the thing is, you can tell when they was going to let him go because when they drafted CD and gave him 88, you don't do that. There's never been an 88 that's really a number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah.
He eventually becomes number 1.
That's why I said he was the number 1 wide receiver the moment we drafted CeeDee Lamb. Ain't that right, Knicks?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the truth.
Yeah.
And so with that, they knew a couple of years ago, maybe, hey man, he's only gonna play for us for 2 years, and we're gonna release him or whatever. And so it's about business. It's not about what the product on the football field, because football wise, you keep the guy. And so it was just what they're doing down there is it just kind of bothers me because I don't think winning is the end all be all because it doesn't have to be, man. They're really going to keep their jobs. This thing is going to be in the Joneses family through my life, your life, and our kids' life because they got little Joneses coming up too.
Right, exactly.
Hey, man, I'm gonna get off the horn, man. I'll let you continue with the show. I do appreciate you letting me on, man.
Hey, appreciate you for calling in, my guy. Appreciate you, man. Let me get.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right. Let me see here. Let me put these chats on Yeah, my God, Knicks, man. I need those wings, man. I need those wings. I need those wings, man. But yeah, I think that's the biggest concern with a lot of Dallas Cowboys fans is when are the Dallas Cowboys going to go all in on winning a championship? Not a few little games, not an NFC East division title, not a wild card game. Like, go all in on winning a championship. And you think about it, Cowboys Nation, it's been so long. And let me know in the chat, when is the last all-season move that you saw and you felt, oh damn, the Cowboys are loading the clip? I can't think of one. It's just not how they move forward, and it's just like, it's frustrating as a Cowboys fan because, some of us older Cowboys fans, that's all we knew. We knew winning championships was all that mattered. They would go all in, and if they crapped out, they crapped out. Oh well, they'll rebuild and get better again, but it just isn't like that anymore. And I feel like if the Cowboys, let's say they go 11-6 or something like that, and we win a wild card game, but then we lose in the divisional round, they'll be satisfied. They'll be satisfied with that. They'll come out and say, well, that playoff loss hurt me, and blah, 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 blah. And then they'll just repackage the product, sell us all again, raise those ticket prices, and we're going to be out there bleeding Dallas Cowboy blue because that's just what we do. It's very unfortunate. Let's see if we got some questions. I got Cold Cowboy in the building. What's going on, bro? Definitely go check out my guy on his channel. Definitely got to have you on. My brother BJ Nick's in the building. Let's see here. Ticket sales and saving money is the first priority or before winning. Yeah. Like, the Cowboys are never just be trash. They just got to just be in the conversation. The trade for Coop was the last aggressive move. Yeah, I feel, but that didn't say, that wasn't a move. Trading for Amari Cooper wasn't a move saying we're all in on winning a championship. That was a move saying, all right, bro, I messed up. that was them right and the wrong, saying, all right, bro, this wide receiver by committee thing is kind of messed up. This ain't cutting it. So let me go ahead and clean this up real quick because we don't want to waste Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott in this season, right? So that was one of the moves. And I think we might see that kind of happen again. If we get 4 or 5 games in it and this offense is kind of moving slow and not progressing, and maybe James Washington is not progressing or Jalen Tolbert's not progressing, they might pull the plug and pick up that phone and make a move for a guy. Now, who's a guy out there that's worthy of bringing in? I don't know. I know a lot of people has been trolling me like, oh, what about Deshaun Jackson, Tuck? What about you? Better not. I'm desperate for some more wide receivers. I'm not that desperate to bring in Deshaun Jackson, man. But there are conversations floating around about Cole Beasley. I don't see that happening. There's some names out there like the Will Fuller. I don't think that we bring in Julio Jones. These damn dating apps, bro. Let's see here. Damn. They'd be heavy, man. Best adult dating apps, man. Don't y'all be clicking on them links, man. I know how some of y'all get, man. Let's see here. Sarge says, I know you aren't very high on Story Jackson, but dude is different. Yeah, I like Story Jackson, what he's going to bring, but I don't think he's going to be an instant starter. I think he's going to be a guy that has to progress. Because, a lot of Cowboys fans forget, right? Even though we were able to be 12-5, we had a lot of injuries last year, and then you sprinkled on COVID last year, so it wasn't like we was the healthiest team. I'm a teacher, bro. I'm gonna have mod class. We're gonna have mod school. Even though, we were 12-5, we wasn't the healthiest last year, right? And so I just feel like everyone, Hail Mary, say your prayers, whatever that you do, that we have a healthy camp, because little hamstrings, little calf, all these little things that kind of happen throughout camp. I just don't feel like this Cowboys team has the depth. Now, I feel like last year's class is going to take a leap, right? I feel like this rookie core is going to get some opportunity, but I mean, the way that our schedule is structured, like, we can't afford to get off to a slow start, y'all. We just can't, because, I know a lot of people don't like when you speak about the Eagles, but their schedule is kind of like cakewalkish until they get to the second half. And so it's like, we don't want to be trailing coming down in December and, all that stuff down to the wire, right? We need to get off to a fast start. And I just feel like injuries can definitely play a huge part of that, man, when we get into it. So let me go ahead. What I also want to chime into, Like I said, phone lines are on. I also want to get into real quick. I'm just going to talk about the offensive side of things when it comes to this camp roster and who I kind of just expect we might see out there as far as when it comes to camp and who might be making this final roster here. So let's go ahead and get into it. So, and let me know if y'all disagree, disagree, man. Like I said, this is an open forum, man. This is about us, the community. So when it comes to the quarterback position, right, we all know Dak Prescott is our quarterback. Oh, Tuck, we don't need Dak Prescott. We need another quarterback. We know that. Now, when it comes to our backup quarterback, and we spoke about this, a little bit last night, and then also when me, Nix, and Professor Owen Spooney had the show the other night as well, the backup quarterback position, I think that Cooper Rush is going to be the guy. He's just their buddy. He's their pal. He knows their system. He won a game last year versus the Vikings. He's just going to be their guy. But I would not be surprised if Will Grier, when we're watching these preseason games and hearing through camp, that he's outperforming Cooper Rush. Right, because Cooper Rush got outplayed last year in camp as well. I forgot what the guy's name was that played in the Pittsburgh game in 2020. Appreciate you, my guy. But yeah, like Cooper Rush was not playing well in preseason and also, in camp as well. But he kind of just got the position off of just, not what you know is who you know. So I feel like Cooper Rush is going to be that guy. And then you might see Ben DiNucci still on the practice squad. We'll see how that all plays out when it comes to the quarterback position. But, I think that we probably need to get a quarterback in house just in case of an emergency, because we all know the one thing that can just break and derail this season is right there. Yeah, Garrett Gilbert. Thanks, Arsenio. Yeah, Garrett Gilbert. Garrett Gilbert, when I was out there at camp, he played much better than Cooper Rush did, including the Rams scrimmage, the way he was playing out there in camp. But like I said, it's just Cooper Rush is their guy that they vouch for. My guy Steve says, don't diss Rush, man. All right, man. It's just like, it is what it is. But, I feel like he's a quarterback that can win us a game or two. Anything above 3, nah, not with this offense. I just don't see it happening with Cooper Rush. When it comes to the running back position, of course, we got Zeke, who I mentioned in our last video. I think he's going to have an uptick from his last season. Tony Pollard should play well as well. And then Rico Dowdle, I think he's going to get that third running back spot. Let's see here. Is Will Grier gone? No, Will Grier isn't gone, but I just feel like he is going to get that, that position over Will Grier. I feel like we're going to be watching camp talking about Will Grier. Oh man, we like Will Grier, what we're seeing, right? But I think they're just going to go with Cooper Rush just because they're comfortable with them. The wide receiver position, that's the topic of conversation that everyone is talking about, right? My guy Robert asks, I would doubt they would be willing in backup position, but would you want Cam Newton? I just don't think Cam Newton in Dallas will ever make sense. I've been saying, why not? But just that's just too much, because we know Cam Newton's outspoken. Here's the thing, y'all. If the Dallas Cowboys could not handle the personality of Amari Cooper, what the hell are they going to do with Cam Newton? What they going to do with Cole Beasley? What they going to do with Antonio Brown, who some people's like, they can't handle that. They not built for that, man. So it's like, nah, there's no chance in hell they would go for a Cam Newton. Though I said I would get Cam Newton out there and put him in the red zone and let him take all the punishment running the ball. But, that's not going to happen. Wide receiver position, right? So we got CeeDee Lamb. We have Michael Gallup, who I believe will start on the PUP list. Oh, I did miss Connor McGovern, didn't I? My bad. Yeah, so you can take Connor McGovern. We'll get there, man. Y'all jumping ahead, man. Y'all jumping ahead. CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Jalen Tolbert, James Washington. Now, when it comes to kind of that next wide receiver, I am pushing for TJ Vasher. I think that TJ Vasher might get the nod over Simi Fioco, but it's going to come down between those two. But I feel like that's going to be our wide receiver core. Tight end, Dalton Schultz, Sean McKeon got off to a great camp last year in the preseason before he got the injury. So I like what I saw from Sean McKeon. Also, Jake Ferguson, I feel like he's going to be kind of that hybrid, kind of your up back, fullback / tight end. They've already been kind of mentioned about his blocking game. They like what they see from Jake Ferguson. And my guy, Professor O, put me on Peyton Hendershot. He's like, Tuck, watch this guy out of Indiana, and Peyton Hendershot. I'm like, what the hell, bro? So I watched Peyton Hendershot the other night, and I was like, well, what do we have here? And I was looking at Peyton Hendershot kind of like some of these these chat bots. No, but I was like, all right, what do we have here? So he's kind of sleek, man. He can do a few different things. I didn't dive in way too deep on him, but I trust my guy, Professor O. And I know my guy, Steve's been preaching for Matt Waletzko at tight end 3. Hell, you might see Terrence Steele at tight end 3. Who knows, right? But I think you might see a situation where Peyton Hendershot can get over Jeremy Sprinkle. I really didn't like what I saw from Jeremy Sprinkle last season. Offensive line position, you have Tyron Smith, Tyler Smith, Tyler Biotish, who we'll talk about here in a second. Zach Martin ain't going nowhere. Terrence Steele is official. He's the official right tackle. You have Connor McGovern. You'll put Connor McGovern in there. Josh Ball, Matt Waletzko. And then another guy, I guess you can move him over to the sleeper position, would be Braylon Jones. I think Braylon Jones played well last year. I think if he can continue the trend from what we saw in the Philly game and from the camp that he had, he might see a spot there. And then a few sleepers that I have. Y'all know, mock draft season, man. I love Alex Lindstrom, man. I love him at the center position. I just feel like with Tyler Biotish, it's going to come down between him and Matt Farniok. Farniok. I've probably been saying that wrong. I think everyone's saying his name wrong, but I think it's going to come down between him and Matt. For that center position. Is it an open competition? We shall see. I think that spot will be Tyler's to start, and then maybe if something happens, then Matt can step in, but I think that's where the center position is. And as you see, when it comes to our swing tackle position, it's very bleak, right? So you might have to lean on not Matt Farniok, but Matt Waletzko or Josh Ball to kind of be your swing tackles as of now. But like you said, there's opportunity for the Dallas Cowboys to go sign some guys. You know, somebody might just say, you know what, screw it, I'm just trying to get in for camp. Matt Farniok. All right, there we go. Farniok. You might see some guys kind of emerge in camp, some more camp bodies that they might bring in. But as we said last night, we want a real camp body, not just a camp body, but it's a real swing tackle, man, that just in case something happens with Tyron Smith, you don't have to get too cute. But it seems as of right now, that's going to be the how the Cowboys are going to move forward. And then my sleepers got Alex Lindstrom, Dartario Drummond, wide receiver, Ty Freifogel, wide receiver, Malik Davis, running back, and Nick Ralston, fullback. I would like to have a fullback out there, but like I said, it's probably going to be more on Jake Ferguson, kind of being your quote-unquote fullback moving forward. So that's who I got. Let me know if anybody that you guys think can sleep in there. I think when it comes down to Simi Fehoko and TJ Vasher, that might be the spot that's up for grabs. But I think that the Cowboys really like either one of those. Like, it's going to be between those two for that competition to really grab, the bull by the horns. But, I heard things about TJ Vasher last year. Y'all know me. I was hype on the TJ Vasher train in draft season. I would have drafted him. It seems like the Dallas Cowboys do like him, which is why they kept him on the roster. They were kind of, Simi got off to a hot start in camp, kind of flamed out a little bit, and then, they kind of kept him around, didn't really do much last year. But it's going to be interesting to see if Simi's able to really take that leap forward. So I think that's going to be the competition. I think it's going to be open for TJ Vasher or Simi Fehoko, but someone else could also emerge as well. Brandon Smith is a name that you can also keep an eye on as well for Brandon Smith. And there's a few guys out there. But like I said, when it comes to being a wide receiver in camp, man, it all depends on when your number is called, right? So if you're a wide receiver and they're like, Tucker, get out there, right? And you see Ben DiNucci's your quarterback, when you line up, you're like, bro, God dang, bro, why I gotta go out there with him? Like, why I gotta get my reps with Ben DiNucci, man? I need some Dak reps, man. Like, because you're not gonna be able to shine out there with Saad Arnucci throwing you the ball out there in Oxnard, man. So you might as well just go ahead and pack it up, go block or do something, man, because you're not gonna get that opportunity. My guy Stephen White, man, I think he's Kellen Moore. He's trying to put Lindstrom at fullback. They'll probably put McGovern at fullback a little bit. Now, y'all know me. I absolutely hate with a passion that whole putting an offensive lineman at fullback idea. It looks cute. It's too cluttery. It clogs up the hole for Zeke and Pollard to get through. Cut that out. Either move a tight end back there or get a true fullback, or let Zeke lead block for Tony Pollard, but stop plugging up the holes with these big body guards and tackles in those holes, man. So I'm just not a fan of it, man. But hey, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Like I said last night, we had a blast, man. We did that for you guys, the community. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That was what it's really about. Those are all my brothers, man. And I know there's more brothers I have in this Cowboys community. I was only able to add 10 on the show. They would not let me add a 30-person stream, or I could have been, but it would probably have been all damn night. But like I said, we had a good time. It was about the community. It was about sharing our thought process, but actually just showing y'all the viewers, man, it's like, we're all a family. We got different views, we all got different views. We see things a different way. We handle things a different way. Not gonna sugarcoat things. We fight, we argue. There's sometimes I might talk to one of those dudes. I'll be honest with you, and he won't care if I tell you because he keeps it real, right? I literally the other day, probably a week ago, literally had a phone with West Coast. I literally cussed him out about this CeeDee Lamb dropping thing. Like, bro, stop saying this, dropping things. I'm not listening to this. I was going off. We were going off back and forth, right? And then 5 minutes later, it's like, all right, my bad, bro. I'm tripping. I'm bad. And so that's how we do. We're all in this Cowboys locker room together. When CeeDee Lamb goes out there and he runs a bad route, I'm sure him and Dak gonna argue a little bit. Hey, you're supposed to cut here. You're supposed to cut there. You're supposed to come back to me. You know what I'm saying? You got to catch that, right? They are going to argue a little bit, but at the end of the day, they are friends. They are teammates. They are just out there trying to win. And that's the same thing when you see a lot of us in this content creator space, right? It's all about just putting our best ideas together and trying to think how we see things to win a championship and help the Dallas Cowboys win a championship. And by doing that, it makes it better, right? Y'all wouldn't want to watch me if I'm just like Skywalker, if I'm just Skywalker. No, we're all a little bit different. We see things from different angles. Professor O sees things from you guys want to talk about arguing? Wait till it comes when Dak's getting ready to play for preseason, right? Me and Professor O are going to be bumping heads on a daily basis about Dak in preseason, right? But at the end of the day, that's my brother, man. I talk to Professor O every damn day, but Dak's going to play this preseason, man. He just is, and he needs to play, right? So that's just how it goes, man. So it's all love. This season, the most important thing I want to do is spread love across the Dallas Cowboys community. I never want to colonialize you guys where you guys are just CFO gang and that's it. No, go watch Rome, go watch Scott, go watch everybody because it's all great content. I'd much rather you guys go watch Law Nation than watch what the hell's going on in First Take and all the extra BS. So that's who I'm fighting against, right? That's my battle. It's I know I have them right there, right? But my biggest battle is with the ESPNs, the Fox Sports, who sit there and talk about Jameis Winston's better than Dak and all this extra that they feed the community. That's who I'm fighting against, right? But I can't fight that battle against myself. It's going to take all of us, and we're going to do it, and we're going to have a great 2022 season. And I cannot wait to see everybody out there at the games. I'll be at the first game, second game, probably take a break here and there, and I'll probably be back to a few games. I'll definitely let y'all know. I will not be at camp this year. I kind of poo-pooed around and just didn't do it and just get around to because I was traveling. I know I traveled across the damn country for a whole month, and I was like, I'm jet lagged. I just didn't feel like getting on a plane right now, and so I'm chilling, man. But we're definitely going to be covering camp. I got guys sending me some information about camp. They're going to be boots on the ground, so you definitely got to hit that notification bell and do not miss out, man. It's your boy J Tuck. I want everyone to stay safe, stay blessed, stay encouraged. And football season's here, y'all. It's finally here. No turning back now. Let's get it. Peace.